Let's do it. Not really sure where I left off last, but I went at it today and I managed to accomplish getting the wastegate hooked up, which kinda, I mean, I didn't zip tie that, you know, as a nice tight hold because, I mean, basically everything's got to come out of here anyway because it is fucking leaking from every orifice. I tried to put my fancy little snap-on vacuum tool on this guy and it just wouldn't pull a vacuum, just wouldn't do it. So I thought it was the coupler, and it was the coupler, and it was the other coupler, and but that wasn't the real true problem. The water pump is actually out, and it's just seeping, you know, it's got that hole in there and you can't see it, but I assure you it's dripping out of there. So, you know, lesson learned. If you're throwing together a project and you're looking at the water pump and you're like, you know, fuck it, this water pump's probably good. What is that $100 worth? I guess that's a question that everybody has asked. That's a personal question because it might not be worth it to somebody, and to somebody else it might be. For me, if I had $100 to throw at it and be done and know that it's good to go, then I'd be happy. But it's not. I did find a belt for it, which I'm happy about. It turned out. So first I got a belt, and it was too. Where did I put the belt? It was too short. The one that they said to buy was too short. Did I throw it in the car? That'd be smart if I did that. Did I actually do that? I don't think I did. I'm not terribly intelligent. I'll just cut all this out. Me wandering around babbling, looking at the camera. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Where the fuck did I put that goddamn thing? Oh, here it is. So this is the belt that I end up going with. The Master Pro K61045, and it is 105 inches. It barely fits. But the other one they wanted was I had to write this down at the store to do all the figuring out, was 103.74, which is like 103 3/4, almost 104. So 105 was enough. Just that extra inch and a quarter, which is good. So I got that guy on there. It kind of wants to flop around. I wish this system had a spring-loaded tensioner on it, because it doesn't. It just has, like, you pull tension here. So I might try to figure out how I could incorporate one of those, like, spring-loaded deals in there. Just keep, because if I revved it a few times, this guy jumped one belt, just jumped over, was riding on top of it, revved it again, it fell back in. That's fine. We'll figure it out. I mean, there's bound to be a million problems. When I first started, it ran really rough. That's because one of the injectors, the adapter, I accidentally pulled the wires out of when I was trying to run the wire and harness back through the firewall once again to reroute everything. So I plumbed that in, and it smoothed it out, and it revs real nice. It's a little on the lazy side. I wouldn't be surprised to find that the whatever base timing it's running is maybe down a little bit, maybe a degree or two off. So there's still lots to do. I still got to find a home for our oil. filter. I think it's going to live right down here on this side of the frame rail, and then pump up to the turbo. There should be plenty of room, plenty of line for that to happen, and then it's convenient. And I'll have 2 oil filters, which will give me twice the filtration rate. And what else is going on here? So the thermostat has got me a little bit. So I don't know if the water pump's even pumping at all, to be quite honest. It didn't really feel like it. I started up this top guy got hot as fuck, and the bottom, the thermostat never opened. So I don't know if there's even water in the block. I eventually popped this guy off, the steam port, and plugged this side and just let the water pour through. So I know that water was getting through to the head eventually, but it didn't sound like it was originally getting it. So I don't know. I'll probably buy a new thermostat, since that one seemed a little bit long. And I don't know, if it was meant to fit this or not. I'll just kind of get it all at one time, go to the parts store and get the water pump, the thermostat, and then these couplers, these guys were all leaking on both sides, I should say, not all, but both sides were leaking. I just need to go. I replaced the silicone that I originally put on there to make it look fancy and nice, and it turned out like shit because it leaked all over the fucking place. So I'm just gonna I replaced it with rubber hose and one from my Volvo. It's actually it's a little bit small on this side, but throw some clamps on that and it should be fine, I think. Who knows? I gotta fix the spark plug situation over here, because there's a couple spark plug wires that are just right against the up pipe, this guy, or right against the down pipe. So I got some really long MSD 90-degree boots. I'll probably loop around all that shit and run it underneath, so that way I don't have to worry about my spark plugs wires getting all burnt constantly. And that's just all the stuff we got to do before we can start. Before we can try to get on the road. So we'll just nug away at it. I think we've had pretty good progress. It finally started, so that's something. That's a positive. The gauge cluster still has to be put together. I got the couple of the gauges in. I'm still waiting for some for the dash. Those look like they're gonna fit into the stock dash. So I got these like 1.5 inch gauges that will go in basically where the idiot lights were, and I got a small tachometer to fit over where it used to say Pontiac. That should be nice once it gets all tidied up in there. I ordered some USB plugs. So I figured, why not, if you're going to have a car today, why not have some USB plugs? I think what I've been thinking about is like integrating the center console. I was going to make like a little center console to hold the ECU and, make it easy to mess with it and do the data logging and all like that stuff. So why not, put a 12-volt power port on there for the laptop, some USB ports, so when we're cruising cross country we can plug in the iPods and let them charge up with the iPhones. And I think we'll throw like a stereo in there and maybe do like a little speaker on each side, and that way I can run Bluetooth, to your speaker and my stereo. I'm usually pretty cool with that. I'm pretty happy if I have like, my being able to play stuff off my phone, usually listen to podcasts or whatever, long trips. And then my friends came over, and they stole the garage for a little bit. So my buddies came over. They needed to borrow the lift to pull an engine out of some pile of shit, and they came, got it done, dropped the subframe, makes it easy with the lift. And my reward for that was cruise control. So that's pretty cool. I got the pigtail, and I got the little box. It seems to be kind of the same box that these guys run. I just got to figure out, a place to adapt this at. And I saw a dude. I'll link it when I get ready to do this, so as to give credit where credit's due. But I saw a dude on YouTube doing a video on how to basically retrofit these guys into, all you need is the controls, and it's kind of self-governed or something. I'm not really sure, but that'd be pretty cool if I can get the cruise control hooked up on this and have Bluetooth to cruise cross country with on this boat. It'd be smooth sailing, and I'd be pretty happy, to be quite honest. So that's where we're at. That's the update. There's nothing that I've done really worth recording. When I get around something excited, I guess I'll do it. But at this point, I think we're just like, we're almost at like the point where you're just like pick a problem and try to resolve it, and then try to figure out what the next problem is that's holding you back. The exhaust, it sounds pretty good, just I think the downpipe's probably about 3 or 4 feet, kind of twists around and out. It's not depositing any soot or any crap in the downpipe. The exhaust is real clean coming out of this thing. The oil looks really good. There's that tick going on. I think that's where I cut the windage tray not far back enough for the F-body pan, and I think it's just kind of tapping the crankshaft. I don't know that I care enough to mess with that, because it's not hard. And it might just be that the downpipe is kind of touching the headers, the up-pipe headers I made, and it might just be that little tinging. So I got some heat wrap to wrap the backside of the headers and the downpipe. That was Amazon Prime, so it should be here tomorrow. And I'm going to wrap half of that downpipe. I like the way it looks. I'm going to try to not wrap it. It doesn't seem like it's generating a lot of heat up there, and it's pretty open engine bay, so I'm hoping that once it's rolling, it'll kind of help pull that heat out. So I'm hoping not to have to. I'm so happy with the powder coat that Scott did for me. I don't want to cover that up, so I'm just going to do like half of it, the part that's like down by the spark plugs and stuff, and I think that'll cushion it where it's super tight to the headers, because either I touch the headers or I almost touch this plastic bulb that's on the steering rack. I don't know. It's just like some plastic cover. I don't know. I should probably knock it off, see what's underneath there, and see if I can just scoot the pipe over that way a little bit. But I also ordered a resonator, so I have a muffler that seems to be relatively stifling and a resonator. And what my plans are, and I got a loud valve, which I now sell on my website because they're awesome. And I was like, why not? Whenever I find an awesome product, I like to add to the web, reach out to the people that are, own it and say like, hey, this is great. Can I put this on my website? So usually it's on my website. It's something that's been tested. I've had my hands on, welded it, and whatever. So what I think I'm going to do with the downpipe is, once it comes out the bottoms, I'm going to take it down the driver's side and out the back, so it kind of looks like a stock pipe, maybe just up behind the rear wheels, and where it goes, kind of where the transmission meets, I'm going to go around the back of the transmission, hooking a 90 and then hooking another 90, going to go to a resonator, to a muffler, and then out the back. And on this side we'll have the loud valve, and on that side will be the full muffled exhaust system. I'm going to put a little tube. I figure I'll do a little tube on the inside of the car, so I can just use a ball valve and open or close, if I want to, the loud valve. And I think that will be an interesting setup. It should have a mix. The car's not too loud now through the downpipe, so even with a loud valve, I don't think it's going to be like crazy loud. But it, without some kind of muffler on it, it's gonna, it's obviously gonna draw attention, and it would be just murderous if you had to drive it for any amount of time. So that's my plan for the exhaust. I still got, little
breathers and whatnot I have to kind of fiddle through. But I think my next big project will be the water pump and the exhaust. So anyway, I don't know where this is going to fit in my videos or how I'm going to use it. So if it's the end, I'll just say thanks for tuning in to Monkey Fab Garage. Be sure to check out my website, monkeyfabgarage.com, and we'll get on it. Give you cool updates next time.